All right, hello and welcome to installing Ludus the quick way. So what is Ludus? Ludus is it's the easiest way to deploy a dev test infrastructure. Let's just leave it like that. I'll go into more details as we go along. So with that, we're going to install Debian 12, then install the Ludus binary that will install Proxmox 8, most likely. So before we do that, there are very specific requirements. This will take over your entire machine. So over here, I've got a monitor, keyboard, and an entire machine dedicated fully to just Ludus. Nothing else. So that's it. And then please have a pass mark score of over 6,000. If your CPU can't perform, then some of the automation that happens will act weird and not work as you expected. Also, 32 gigs of RAM is what you're going to want. You're also going to want 200 gigs of disk space, preferably more, but you definitely want an NVMe or SSD. No spinning disk, because then you get weird problems there too. And then it reiterates here, internet access, please use a cable, Ethernet connected into your machine. So any of these machines lower specs than this listed above may work, but they're not tested or supported. So I'll often ask, do you have this? And if you don't, then I might just bail on you, because it's too difficult to figure out all the problems if you don't have this minimum figured out. All right, so let's go into this. The first one is download the ISO. So we'll click on here. Looks like that went to a different browser. So I'm going to go and put that up here, scroll all the way down. And we're going to agree that I just clicked on this and it downloaded this net install ISO. All right. And so number 2, we're going to place that 12.5 ISO on a USB stick. Preferably, I've got Ventoy. And here's the download. You can download it from here. And once you download it, how you would put that on a USB is if you click on this area here, and I'll click on it. Then when you download and unzip the download, you'll get this Ventoy to disk exe. Once you do that, go ahead and get your USB desired thing, plug it in. So I'm going to plug it in here. There it is for me, Ventoy. But yours won't say that, because you need to do this part. You need to install and update. So install, update, and then once you do that, then you could go ahead and open it up. Go to Ventoy like this. There might be 2 of them. One will have one will look like more like this: EFI, Grub, Tool, Ventoy. You want to go to the other one and then just drag and drop that net install ISO into there. And that's all you need to do. And then that piece is done. So I do have a video on installing Debian here, but what we'll try to do is we'll try to do it live. So what I'll do now is I'll take this USB Ventoy that I have. We'll look over here to like a blue slot, plug it in just like that. Then I need to turn this on. Let's see here. So just for giggles, here's the power cord. Off and on. All right, so I plugged it in. And I'll probably have to hit like delete or F12 or something. Okay, so I pressed the escape key. And can't really see here very well. But what we're going to want is the boot menu. We're going to want to go to the hard drive or the legacy boot source, which for me is my ScanDisk Pro. and now it's attempting to boot into it. There's the Ventoy. I will go down and select Debian. So that is Debian. Then I will boot into normal. Then I will do the graphics, sure. Said sure. What's going on here? Okay. Then we'll go ahead and do English. We'll do United States. We'll do American. Configure keyboard. It's doing whatever it's doing for grubbing all that. Detecting network. Configure network. Detect link. Okay, so I'm just going to go with the first one, EN01 network. Basically, it's the port. This is being called host 8 or whatever. I'm just going to call it Debian 12. Domain, I'll have nothing. Then it's going to configure the network. It's asking me for a root password, so I'll just make something up. It's simple for now. So again, that is for root. And then it wants a new user. So the new user I'm going to use is just server admin. Server admin. Then it's going to ask me for a password. So I'm going to create one. So that is for the new user. Pacific time. Detect disks. Guided use the largest continuous. 8 failed a partition to select a disk. This probably happens because the selected disk, the free space is too small to be automatically partitioned. Oh, use entire drive. I'm going to use entire drive. I'm going to use the SSD that I have in there that's 2 terabytes. And then I want all files on one partition. And I'm going to say, if you continue to change this listed below, it'll be written to the disks. Okay, yes. And now it's partitioning. Cool. Once we get all this, then what you're seeing on the screen, we'll be able to get to this, but what we'll do is we'll create, this is my way to create a shell. So I'll just like say add a session, SSH. Then I'll say Ludus install. And then I'll need to know what, I don't know what it is. I just say 68, but server admin, and then what my password is. But we'll see what the real IP address is as soon as we're done installing. So back to this, it looks like it wants the United States. So we'll continue. Debian for the archive mirror, sure. And then no proxy, so continue. And now it's just going to configure some stuff. What I didn't do here is, before you can get to Ludus, you need to remote into remote SSH into new Debian 12 and basically change the SSHD config to allow password authentication. Okay, so it looks like this is configuring popularity contest. What? No, we don't want that. So we'll continue. Now, here's that one area where we don't want a desktop environment because this is a server. We don't need genome, but we do need SSH because that's what we're doing on the other side there. And then we'll just continue. And hopefully this will install pretty soon. Installing grub. Okay, so let's see here. Might as well do some note taking while I'm here. So we'll do like nano, Etsy, SSH, SSHD, config. Oh, and then looks like the grub bootloader new installation is only operating system on the system. Yep. So let's continue with that. And then we will say this 2 terabyte is what we want. Continue. And installing grub bootloader and finishing install. So if I go back to, let's see here, install Ludus. If I go to my other, nope. Let's see. Let me go into Debian. Here we go. Just copy this. Place that over here. Cool. Okay. Installation completed. It's time to boot into your new system. Make sure you remove the installation media. So down here, here's our installation media. And now I'll just say OK or continue. And it will finish up. Looks like it'll boot. Do whatever it does there. And then we should be able to log in with our server admin and the password, and then configure that configuration on SSD config. Cool. We're at the login. You can't really see, but it's way up here. So I'll just log in real quick. Server admin, and then the password. All right, so I'm in. So let me do an IPA, and I'm gonna look what the IP address is, and it's 12. So since it's 12, we'll go back here. I'll change it to 12. We'll say Ludus install.12. I'll say OK. And now I'll open the session, do the fingerprint, and now we're in. We're in that server. We no longer need to like do all this outside stuff. But yeah, just as a reminder, I'm doing it on this old box. What would be nice is a box like this. GMK Tech is really nice. Anyways, cool. So let's get into this piece. So the server piece, so we're going to go and grab this part right here, copy, and we'll say this. Couldn't open temporary file, permission denied. So let's go sudo I, sudo or su root. Okay, now that we're root, now we'll put that said command in, and now password authentication should be good. Well, we already did that actually, so we didn't even need to do that. Anyways, now that we're here, now we'll install Ludus. So we got to go to the project. So I'm going to go and see what the latest one is by going, just going to it actually. Let's just go to it. So if we go here to ludus.cloud, GitLab, then here's the server, and then, well, let's go back one. Ludus, should be a release area over here on the right, releases. Then let's get the server. So we want a server, so 142. So I'm gonna right click this, copy link. I'm gonna go into our command here. I'm gonna do a wget, paste. So it's gonna get that one. And then we also wanna get, while we're here, let's grab the client, but we don't want ARM. We want just Linux AMD. So I'll grab that client. So copy, and we'll do a wget. Here we go. That's great. So we'll go back to this documentation. So what is, it's 4.2 is the latest one. So in here, I could probably just change this to 2. I could change this to 2. I can change this to 2, something like that. So what we can do now is for the server. So for the client, here's the client here. Again, this is 2. This is 2. So if we do, let's copy over the client. So ls, that's the client there. So if I go cp, all this stuff, and then rename it to Ludus at the end here, that's that. Then I will go ahead and chmod it as well. Actually, should have chmoded it first and then moved it over. But let's go back up to the server. So let's chmod the server. All right. So that should be good. All right. And then we can just install the server. So from here, install. Do we want to? Yes. Pay attention to these things. This is some information for you. This is the server IP that we know about. So anyways, I'm just going to go. And it's just going to start installing a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to pause this video here. I'm actually going to end this video here and start up a part 2 that will continue the process to then go on to creating a user. And we kind of already downloaded this part, the client, as you can see here. And, oh, let me see here real quick. Oh yeah, I need to change that one. Okay. Yeah, we already downloaded the client. We chmoded the client. We CP'd the client over to the bin area. We're already SU. And then we'll basically do an Ludus install status. And then we'll create a user. We'll install WireGuard. And then we'll produce a WireGuard conf file so that we can then use WireGuard on our PC. And then we'll go ahead and with that new user, we'll go ahead and check out the templates. We'll build a template. We can check the logs. We can get creds for the user to look on Proxmox. But then we'll create a range with this config file. Set it. Let's see here. Ludus range config.yaml. So copy that, put that there. Okay, and then deploy it. And then really, we're done. And you can see another demo here. So I'm going to go back here. I want to see what's going on. Oh, as you can see, it looks like it's rebooting. So if I scroll all the way down here, things have worked out, it looks like. Wait a minute. No, it kicked me all the way out. I went into a different Ludus. It kicked me all the way out. As you can see on the screen now, it is, it'll need to reboot one more time, it says. This is the benefit of having this camera out here, so you can kind of see this interesting piece here. But it says it's going to reboot one more time, but I can go back in here and it also say it needs to reboot one more time. So Right now, it's installing Proxmox and the GUI type stuff, right? And so just to give you an idea of what Proxmox looks like again, I already have a made Proxmox here. I can just show you really quick. And like, for instance, each time I make a user, like we're going to make a JM user, it's going to make a pool. And so like I made an Exchange user, Elastic Security user, an Active Directory Cert Certificate user, Workshop user, Waza environment, all sorts of stuff. And so in there, you can create the config file and it'll just start all these things up automatically. Kind of a deal. So really cool, really neat. Very excited to show this to you. Should be great. So this is going to take a while though. You see it's 40%. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this video. But by the time this is all done, I got to say, we're pretty close to being done with this. We'll just have to, like I mentioned, do a few more things and you're good. All right. Thanks and see you in the next video. All right, welcome back to part 2 of installing Ludus the quick way. And so the last thing you saw is this had to reboot, and it has rebooted that one time. So now this is the final screen. You'll see it come up here. And we'll go ahead and move up to where we last were, which was to right here, Ludus install status. So I'm just going to copy that. Come over here and SSH back into our Ludus that we know is right here. Plus, if we don't know, we can look right here and it'll tell us that's where it's at. So cool, let's get in there. We're in there. I'm just going to SU to root right away so I don't have to worry about stuff. Cool. And so I'll paste. I guess I won't paste Ludus install status. All right, cool. Gave me a root key. Keep that safe somewhere. So right now, I'm just going to put that in here. All right, so anyways, let's go to the next thing. That is, we'll want to use this command. So what I will do is I'll just switch this out for now. Paste. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a user. The name is going to be Jesse. The user ID is going to be JM. And it's going to be an admin. So this admin can create users later, and we no longer will need this root account. We can just use JM. So let me copy. Go over here. Press enter. Oh, permission denied. Okay, so I was probably supposed to put export Ludus API key equals and this whole root deal here. End quote. Okay, now that I've exported it, I'll run this. Permission denied. Root. Fine. Look at that. Oh my gosh. So I don't know what's going on with that, but we can. It was a capital X. Anyways, let's keep going. Troubleshooting. Oh, you gotta love it. All right, so back to here. Let's see if we can make that user. JM is not authorized for this action. Oh, why is the key that? The key should not be that. I thought oh, here it is. There's the key. Getting ahead of myself. All right, so let's create the Jesse user. Now that you watched me fumble a bit. Awesome. And this is expected to take a little bit. Or a lot of it. Okay, so once we have this user, keep it safe somewhere, because if you lose it, then you have to regenerate that. But what I will do is I will just put it right here, paste. Then I'll be able to copy this whole thing and get my config. So there's my WireGuard config. So if I take this whole thing and I say VS Code, and eventually VS Code will pop up. So yeah, and then just paste it in wherever. So we'll say new file. We'll call it jm ludus install range.conf. Yeah. And then you paste it in there, you save it, what have you. For when you do WireGuard, like for me, WireGuard is right here. And then you would just add the tunnel, pick the config file you just did, and then you would activate it. And then it would activate so that you can get to it. So I'm going to deactivate for now, move this away, get back to the docs. Okay, so let's export JM user now. So I'll copy this, replace this old one with the new one, copy, export it in Ludus templates. And all these say false, so they're not in there. So what we're going to have to do is build those. So we'll do the next one, which is Ludus templates build, and it'll just start building. That'll take a while though. So if you're really interested in how long it's going to take, maybe 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. I can't remember, but it's like Ludus templates logs follow. So like for instance, this is doing the Debian right now. So it's going out, it's trying to grab the image, the ISO, and bring it down. So yeah, so if we cancel out of that though, we'll notice up here though, we've got a Debian 11, a Debian 12, we've got a Kali box, we got a Windows 11, we got a Windows 2022 server. So all these will be built for you. There's no GUI involved. You won't be like, oh, install ISO. Okay, wait for it to go to the config menu and just click through everything. This will create it to where it's like to the background. You can you're just there. It's pretty amazing. So that's going to take a bit. E55. While we let that go, we can check out the creds. So if we do this, get creds, this will actually get us creds for the Jesse user we created to get into Proxmox. So if we go ahead and grab this and we go into this, let's say we go into HTTPS 192.168.0.12, I believe, is the one we made. 8006. Advance, continue. All right. So, whoops, I kind of fast forward here. I logged in as root, but we wanted to log in as Jesse with that password we just got. So paste, log in. And so now we're there. And here's the JM pool that was created. I'll just add that to that, sure. Yeah, and so right now we're building templates which live in the shared pool. And so right now what happens is it grabs the ISO and then it spins up a VM. That's what this icon means. If you go to the console, you kind of see what it's doing as it's installing. So this is all doing this auto magically through like Packer, Ansible, uh, cool Ludus automation type deal here, interfacing with Proxmox. So once this is done, and this auto magically makes a router. So that's what's happening here. This is creating the router so that the VMs and everything can be routed. Well, actually, it's doing the templates. Eventually, when we do a range, it'll do the router. So this is going to take a while because this needs to do it for all those templates that I mentioned. So I'm going to pause this and come back later so that we can go ahead and go into the range. And basically, we'll make a server, make it a domain controller. Then we will grab a Windows 11 and give it the last octet of 21. The 22 is actually, I like to make Windows 22 last octet 22, and I like to make Windows 11 11. So we'll do that. And then Kali, for whatever reason, I like to do 13 for the last octet. And then these are all the network rules. Basically, the VLANs are what the Windows machines are on. And then Kali is on VLAN 99. So all this network stuff, it's just allowing the Windows to Kali boxes from VLAN 10 to VLAN 9 on different ports. That's all that's doing. So basically, it's allowing everything really. So cool. Once that's done, we'll use a Ludus command to set that range as like, hey, that's the range we want to deploy, and then we'll deploy. And that'll probably take like an hour and a half because it's building all those machines that are in here. So that takes a while, but a lot less time if you were doing it manually. That's for sure. But yeah, then we'd be done, and you'll agree that this is the easiest way to deploy infrastructure. It's like so good. All right. See you in the next video. All right, that took like a long time. However, all the templates have completed. And you can see it's 9:43, and I believe we started at like 8:54 or something like that. So it almost took like an hour. In fact, let's actually see if it installed completely. So Ludus, templates, status. No template builds in progress. So cool, it's done. So if we do Ludus, templates, list, true. So these are all installed. That's awesome. So let's go back to our quick install, and we'll get down to our templates build area that took about an hour. I'll say this takes about an hour with the current config. All right. And then we did all that. Okay, so we want to create a range. We'll call this Ludus range config. So we'll copy this. We'll go in here. We'll just say nano Ludus range config dot YAML. Paste this in here. Since I'm doing nano, it's Control O for to write it. I press enter. So it wrote 66 lines, and then I do Control X to exit out. All right. So the next thing, once I do that, then I want to do this where I set it to use that. Oh, can't spell. So let me fix that in here because it was in here that I can't spell. Okay, cool. So yeah, so you can see your range config has successfully updated. That's awesome. And now we'll just do a range deploy. Go. And so the deploy has started. So you could do Ludus range status, kind of like we did with the templates, but obviously there ain't anything going on right now. So, or you can do Ludus range logs, and then this will give you the play-by-play of what like Ansible's doing to like build out this VM step by step kind of a deal. And let's go look at our Proxmox. We'll click under JM, and as you can see, it's building that router. It'll always just build the router automatically, plus whatever you put in your config. So it's doing all that. And so this will take a while as well. I assume an hour and a half or more. So with that, really, you would have deployed arranged. And then you'll just fire up your WireGuard, and you'll connect to your new config that you have, connect to it like that. And then for me, I just like, if I were to go to Windows, I would just like make a new entry. I would pick RDP, and then I would just set up, whatever the IP address is, which you'll get afterwards. Or actually, you already set it up. So like for instance, there's the one that's, well, it's got a 10 dot range, so you'll have to figure that out later. But yeah, name like Windows 22, it'll be whatever the 10 dot range it decided to give it, like 10 dot, 2 dot, 10 dot, and then 22 for Windows Service. I know the last octet, I just don't remember what the VPN WireGuard range is off the top of my head, and I believe this is local user. Well, we can use domain user, and then I believe it's password, and then I can RDP into it once WireGuard's up and all that good stuff is happening. Yeah, so that's how that works, and I hope this was beneficial for you. All right, thanks. All right, one more thing. All right, one last thing. So I have this all in Notion with all these instructions and copy and paste things. I will share it in the YouTube comments area for others to use and install Ludus quickly. All right. Hope that's helpful. Thanks.